Have you ever had a moment when something just didn't feel right? The words someone spoke to you sounded polished, even convincing. But deep inside, your heart whispered, something is wrong here. That quiet voice inside you, that sense of unease, is not weakness. It's wisdom. And yet, too many of us ignore it. Too many of us give liars the benefit of the doubt, only to pay the price later. The truth is, deception is everywhere. In friendships, in business, in relationships, in the promises that people make but never intend to keep. And the most dangerous lies are not the ones shouted from rooftops. They're the ones whispered carefully, dressed in charm, and wrapped in questions designed to make you doubt yourself. Yes, liars don't just lie with their answers. They lie with their questions. Because questions shape the conversation. Questions control the narrative. And when someone wants to deceive you, they will often plant the kind of questions that twist your mind, lower your guard, and trap you in their game. Think about it. A question has power. It directs your focus. It pushes you to explain yourself. It shifts your energy. And when used with dark intent, questions can become weapons. Weapons that pierce your clarity, unsettle your confidence, and leave you vulnerable to manipulation. And here's the scary part. The people who lie to you are often the ones you least expect. They can be friends who say, "I'd never hurt you." They can be co-workers who smile while plotting behind your back. They can even be partners who claim, "I only want what's best for you." But underneath their words is an agenda, a mask they wear to hide their real motives. That's why today, we're going to uncover something vital. The 5 questions liars ask. The 5 traps they set with their words. And once you learn to recognize them, you'll never look at conversations the same way again. You'll see through the charm. You'll spot the red flags. You'll know when someone is playing you before it's too late. Because here's the truth. Protecting yourself from lies isn't just about spotting dishonesty. It's about protecting your growth, your peace, and your future. Every time you let a liar manipulate you, you lose time. You lose energy. You lose trust in yourself. And that loss can take years to recover from. But when you know the signs, when you hear the questions that liars use, you take your power back. So let me ask you this. How many times have you been fooled? Not because the lie was so good, but because you ignored the signs. How many times have you walked away from a conversation thinking something felt off, but you didn't act on it? Those moments are your reminders. They're proof that your instincts are sharper than you realize. You just need the tools to trust them. And that's exactly what we're building here. Step by step, part by part. You're going to learn the psychology of deception. You're going to see how liars use questions to deflect, to confuse, to manipulate, and to control. And you're going to build the strength to stop falling for it. But before we dive into the 5 questions, let's start with a powerful truth. Liars don't always come dressed as villains. Sometimes they come disguised as friends. Sometimes they show up as the people cheering for you, only to betray you the moment you trust them. That's why spotting lies is not about paranoia, it's about wisdom. It's not about doubting everyone. It's about protecting yourself from those who don't deserve your trust. In this journey, you'll realize that words matter, but so do silences. You'll learn that the questions liars ask aren't just words. They're strategies. They're calculated plays designed to get what they want while leaving you disarmed. And when you can see through their questions, you not only protect yourself, you rise above the games people play. So stay with me, because the journey we're about to take isn't just about exposing liars. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about learning to trust yourself again. It's about refusing to be controlled by anyone's hidden agenda. In the next part, we'll begin breaking down the first of these 5 questions, the one that almost every liar uses, often disguised as concern, but really a trap to make you question your own reality. The first question liars often ask sounds simple. It even sounds innocent. But it's the very question that plants doubt inside your mind. They ask, "Are you sure?" At first glance, it doesn't seem like a weapon. After all, we've all asked people if they're sure about something. But when a liar uses it, their intention is not to clarify, it's to destabilize. It's to make you second-guess what you know to be true. Think about it. You've caught them in a contradiction. You've pointed out an inconsistency. Or maybe you've confronted them with facts that don't line up. And instead of addressing the truth, they tilt their head, look at you calmly, and say, "Are you sure?" In that moment, they're not defending themselves with evidence. They're not providing clarity. They're shifting the burden back onto you. Suddenly, it's no longer about their actions, it's about your memory, your judgment, your confidence. That's the power of this question. It doesn't answer. It attacks, not directly, but quietly. It's designed to make you feel uncertain, even when you're standing on solid ground. And here's the trap. The more you start to explain yourself, the more control you give away. Liars know that most people are uncomfortable with confrontation. They know that most of us don't like conflict. So, when they ask, "Are you sure?" with just the right tone, they're hoping you'll pause. They're hoping you'll soften your stance. They're hoping you'll doubt your instincts enough to let them slip away. But let's be clear. Doubt is their ally. Confidence is yours. When you're sure of what you saw, when you're certain of what you heard, don't let someone talk you out of your truth. Because here's the reality. Truth doesn't need defending. Lies do. And when someone tries to make you feel unsure, it's often because they're terrified you might expose them. Now, why does this matter for your growth? Because growth requires clarity. Growth requires you to trust yourself. If every time you know something is wrong, you let someone else plant doubt in your mind, you will never stand strong in your path. You'll always bend, always hesitate, always question yourself when you should be questioning them. And that's exactly how liars win. Not by proving they're right, not by offering evidence, but by making you lose trust in yourself. If they can weaken your certainty, they can control the direction of the conversation. And once they control that, they control you. But here's the key. Once you learn to recognize this tactic, it loses its power. The next time someone looks you in the eye and says, "Are you sure?" Pause. Notice how the question makes you feel. Do you feel clarity or confusion? Do you feel grounded or shaken? If the only thing their question gives you is doubt, without evidence, that's your red flag. And instead of rushing to explain yourself, stand firm. Say less. Let silence do the work. Because silence, in that moment, is strength. It signals that you will not be swayed by games. And you will not abandon your truth just because someone is uncomfortable with it. Remember this. Your instincts are not your enemy. They are your guide. That uneasy feeling, that subtle tension in your gut, it's there to protect you. Don't let a liar's question silence that voice. Don't let them reframe reality just to serve their agenda. The truth will always stand, whether they like it or not. And the more you trust yourself, the less power their words will hold over you. Now, if "are you sure" is the first weapon in a liar's toolkit, the second one is even more dangerous because it doesn't just attack your memory, it attacks your emotions. It comes wrapped in false concern, but its purpose is to make you feel guilty for even questioning them. That's where we're going next. The second question liars love to ask sounds soft. It sounds caring. It sounds like they're looking out for you. But in reality, it's a dagger disguised as comfort. They ask, "Why would I ever lie to you?" On the surface, this sounds like reassurance. It's framed as proof of loyalty, a reminder of trust, a way of saying, "I could never hurt you." But that's the trick. Because when they ask, "Why would I lie to you?" they're not proving their innocence. They're pressuring you to feel guilty for even suspecting them. Think about the psychology behind it. Instead of answering your concern directly, they shift the spotlight back onto you. They make you feel like you're the one in the wrong, as if your intuition is an insult, as if your attempt to protect yourself is actually a betrayal of them. And if you're not careful, this works. Because as humans, most of us hate the idea of being unfair to someone we care about. We don't want to look paranoid. We don't want to feel like we're accusing someone without reason. Liars know this. So, when they say, "Why would I lie to you?" they're not really asking for an answer. They're forcing you into silence. Let's break it down. That question carries an unspoken weight. It's not really about logic, it's about emotion. They want you to feel ashamed for doubting them. They want you to feel guilty, so you back off. It's manipulation dressed as intimacy. And here's the painful truth. The people who use this question often know exactly why they're lying to you. They know the advantage they gain, the secret they're hiding, the control they maintain. But by pretending to be shocked at the very idea of lying, they create a smokescreen. They act offended. They act hurt. And suddenly, instead of focusing on the lie, you're focusing on comforting them. It's brilliant. It's cruel. And it works if you let it. But here's what you need to remember. Honesty doesn't fear questions. Truth doesn't collapse under suspicion. Only lies do. A person who is genuine will explain, clarify, or answer without shame. But a liar will try to make you feel like the villain for even asking. And if you've ever been in a toxic relationship, you know how dangerous this question can be. You start doubting yourself. You start thinking, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm the problem. That's exactly the mental prison they want to trap you in. Because once you stop trusting your instincts, you give them unlimited control. But here's the turning point. You must never let guilt silence truth. Feeling suspicious doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you paranoid. It makes you human. It means your heart and your mind are picking up signals that words can't hide. And when someone tries to shut that down with, "Why would I lie to you?" see it for what it really is. Not concern, not proof, but a mask. And here's something even more powerful. Flip the frame. Instead of answering their question, ask yourself one of your own. Why would they need to ask this at all? Think about it. If they were honest, the evidence would speak for itself. They wouldn't need to pressure you with guilt. They wouldn't need to act offended. Their actions would match their words, and their truth would stand on its own. So don't be fooled. The next time someone asks you, "Why would I ever lie to you?" Pause. Notice the manipulation. Refuse to carry guilt that isn't yours. And remember, a trustworthy person proves their honesty through consistency, not through questions that make you feel small. Protecting your growth means guarding your emotions. Because liars thrive when you feel guilty, when you lower your guard, when you silence your own instincts. But you don't have to play their game. Not anymore. Because if the second question attacks your emotions, the third one attacks something even deeper. It targets your need to explain yourself. It pressures you into overtalking, oversharing, and eventually contradicting yourself while the liar slips away untouched. And that's exactly what we're going to break down next. The third question liars use is subtle, but it's a trap almost everyone has fallen into at some point. It's the question that forces you into defense mode. A question designed to make you do all the explaining while they sit back and watch. They ask, "What do you mean?" Now, at first, this sounds like a normal question. People ask for clarification all the time. But when a liar asks, "What do you mean?" it's rarely about understanding you. It's about buying time. It's about pushing the spotlight back onto you so you start explaining yourself over and over again until you begin to sound uncertain. Here's how it works. Imagine you confront someone. You say, "Your story doesn't add up." Instead of addressing the issue directly, they frown, lean in, and ask, "What do you mean?" In that moment, they're not seeking clarity. They know exactly what you mean, but their goal is to make you spell it out. Word by word, detail by detail, because the more you talk, the more opportunities they have to twist your words, poke holes in your reasoning, or distract you from the original issue. It's psychological warfare, because when you're in defense mode, you give away control. You rush to explain. You add more detail than necessary. And while you're scrambling to be clear, they're carefully studying your words, looking for a crack to exploit. Liars thrive on this. They want you to over-explain. They want you to repeat yourself until your certainty turns into hesitation. And once you start hesitating, they step in with confidence, turning the tables and making you look like the one who's unsure. But let's pause here. Why does this matter for your growth? Because every time you fall into this trap, you're giving away your power. Instead of holding someone accountable, you're the one defending yourself. Instead of keeping the focus on their behavior, the conversation suddenly becomes about your explanation, your tone, your clarity. And in that shift, the truth gets buried. That's why you need to recognize this tactic instantly. When someone who knows exactly what you mean pretends not to, it's not a misunderstanding, it's manipulation. And your job is not to over-explain. Your job is to stay grounded in your truth. So how do you respond? With strength, with clarity, with simplicity. When they ask, "What do you mean?" don't take the bait. Don't start unraveling your thoughts in 100 different directions. Instead, stay calm. Repeat your point with confidence. Or better yet, turn the question back on them. "You know exactly what I mean. Why don't you explain it?" See what happens when you do that. Watch how quickly their mask slips. Because liars rely on your need to explain. They count on your discomfort with silence. But when you stop feeding the trap, they're the ones who start to stumble. And this isn't just about catching lies. It's about rewiring your mindset. Growth requires focus. Growth requires clarity. And you can't afford to waste your energy defending truths that are already obvious. The more you defend, the more power you give away. The more you explain, the less they need to. And that's how they escape accountability. But here's the truth. Your clarity is enough. You don't need to convince a liar. You don't need to over-explain your instincts. If they are guilty, no amount of explaining will make them admit it. If they are innocent, Their actions will prove it without you carrying the burden of endless words. So remember this. When someone tries to trap you with, "What do you mean?" Pause. Breathe. Stay simple. Don't let their confusion strategy become your distraction. Protect your energy. Protect your clarity. And most of all, protect your growth. Because if this third question forces you into defense, the fourth one is even more dangerous. It doesn't just attack your words, it attacks your perspective. It tries to flip the script entirely, making you feel like the one who's being unfair, while they stand there playing the victim. And that's exactly what we'll expose next. The fourth question liars love to use is one of the most manipulative of all. It doesn't just dodge the truth. It flips the script. It puts you on trial while they play the victim. And the question they ask is, "Why are you making such a big deal out of this?" Do you see what just happened? You brought up a valid concern. You pointed out something that doesn't add up. You raised your voice because you finally had enough. And instead of addressing the issue, they make you feel like you're overreacting. Suddenly, the problem isn't their behavior. It's your response to it. This is manipulation at its finest. It minimizes your feelings. It downplays your instincts. It makes you second-guess the importance of what you noticed. And if you fall for it, you'll shrink. You'll apologize. You'll back down. Not because you were wrong, but because they convinced you to feel guilty for standing up for yourself. Here's the psychology behind it. Liars know that most people don't like to be seen as dramatic, unreasonable, or sensitive. They know that if they can paint you as the one who's making it a big deal, you'll backpedal. You'll start explaining why it matters. You'll soften your tone. You'll do whatever it takes to prove you're not being irrational. And in that moment, you hand them all the control. But let's be clear, truth is always a big deal. Integrity is always a big deal. Respect is always a big deal. If someone makes you feel small for caring about these things, it's not because you're overreacting, it's because they're trying to escape accountability. Think about it. If someone was truly innocent, would they need to minimize your concern? No, they would answer directly. They would bring clarity, not condescension. But when someone looks you in the eye and asks, "Why are you making such a big deal out of this?" what they're really saying is, "Stop looking so closely. Stop asking questions. Stop holding me accountable." And here's the truth they don't want you to know. The things they call small are often the cracks that reveal the bigger picture. A small lie uncovers a deeper pattern. A little inconsistency points to a larger deception. What they want you to dismiss might actually be the very thing that exposes them. So don't let them shame you for caring. Don't let them convince you that standing up for yourself is weakness. Growth requires you to honor your instincts, to respect your boundaries, to call out what doesn't feel right. Because every time you minimize your own truth, you shrink. And every time you shrink, they grow stronger. The next time someone asks, "Why are you making such a big deal out of this?" Pause. Then remind yourself, you're not overreacting. You're responding to something that matters. And if it didn't matter, they wouldn't be trying so hard to silence you. Protect your clarity. Protect your voice. Because your growth depends on it. And this brings us to the fifth and final question, the most dangerous of all. This one doesn't just plant doubt, or guilt, or confusion. It goes deeper. It attacks your very perception of reality. It makes you question what you saw, what you heard, even what you lived through. It's the ultimate tool of gaslighting. That's the question we'll expose next. The fifth and final question liars use is the sharpest weapon in their arsenal. It doesn't just confuse you. It doesn't just guilt you. It shakes the very foundation of your reality. They ask, "Do you really think I'd do that?" This isn't just a question, it's an attack wrapped in disbelief. It's a performance. They say it with wide eyes, a wounded tone, maybe even a laugh of shock. And in that moment, they flip the script so completely that you begin to wonder if you're the one being unreasonable. That's the genius of it. Because when someone says, "Do you really think I'd do that?" what they're really saying is, "I can't believe you would question me. I can't believe you'd even think I'm capable of something like this." And suddenly, the focus isn't on what they did. It's on your audacity to suspect them. This is gaslighting at its finest. It attacks your perception of reality. It makes you feel like your instincts are cruel, like your suspicion is offensive, like your truth is too harsh to even consider. And if you're not careful, you'll backpedal. You'll soften. You'll start saying things like, "Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I'm imagining things. Maybe I'm wrong." And that's exactly what they want. Because liars don't just want to escape accountability. They want to rewrite reality. They want you to believe their version of events over your own. They want to be so convincing, so offended, so shocked that you abandon what you saw with your own eyes or felt in your own heart. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. If someone is innocent, they will explain. They will clarify. They will bring evidence, context, or understanding. But when someone looks at you with mock disbelief and asks, "Do you really think I'd do that?" they're not defending themselves with facts. They're defending themselves with performance. And the most dangerous part, it works especially when it comes from people you love, trust, or respect. Because you don't want to believe they're capable of deception. You don't want to believe your friend, your partner, your colleague, or your mentor could betray you. And that's exactly the weakness liars exploit. But growth requires courage. Courage to face the uncomfortable truth. Courage to accept that not everyone has pure intentions. Courage to see what's in front of you, even when it breaks your heart, because pretending not to see won't protect you. It will only cost you more in the end. So the next time someone tries to gaslight you with, "Do you really think I'd do that?" Pause, breathe, and ask yourself, why does this question need to be asked at all? If they were truly innocent, wouldn't their actions already speak louder than words? Wouldn't the truth already be clear without the need for a dramatic performance? Never forget, lies are fragile. They require drama, denial, and manipulation to survive. But truth is solid. Truth doesn't need theatrics. Truth just is. And now that you've seen the 5 questions liars ask, are you sure? Why would I lie to you? What do you mean? Why are you making such a big deal out of this? And do you really think I'd do that? You hold the power. You hold the awareness. You hold the clarity to see through the disguise. But this isn't the end of the journey. Because knowing these questions is only the first step. The next step is learning how to use this knowledge to protect yourself, to grow stronger, and to reclaim your trust in your own instincts. And that's exactly what we'll break down next. Now that you know the 5 questions liars use, the real work begins. Because awareness without action is wasted knowledge. It's one thing to spot the traps. It's another to rise above them and protect yourself from their power. Here's the truth. Liars can only succeed if you let them. Their words are not magic. Their questions are not spells. They only gain power when you hand it over, when you doubt yourself, when you silence your instincts, when you let their performance outweigh your reality. So the first step to protecting yourself is simple, but not easy. Learn to trust your gut. That uneasy feeling in your stomach, that subtle voice in the back of your mind. That moment when something feels off, that's not paranoia. That's your internal alarm system. That's wisdom built from experience. That's your body and mind noticing what your heart doesn't want to accept. Too often, we ignore it. We convince ourselves to be polite, to avoid conflict, to give people the benefit of the doubt. And while kindness is noble, it becomes dangerous when it blinds us to patterns of deception. Growth means learning the balance, keeping your heart open, but your eyes sharp. The second step is clarity. Liars thrive on confusion. They want you to second-guess yourself. They want you to explain endlessly, while they sit back and poke holes in your certainty. Don't play that game. When you know what you saw, when you know what you heard, when you know what you feel, stand on it. Don't over-explain. Don't over-defend. State your truth with clarity and let it be enough. The third step is boundaries. Liars often return to the same tactics because they've worked before. If they guilted you once, they'll try again. If they minimized your feelings once, they'll do it again. Growth requires you to break that cycle. When you recognize manipulation, set boundaries. Cut off the conversation if you need to. Walk away if the questions turn into traps. Protect your peace like it's your most valuable possession, because it is. And here's something powerful. Boundaries aren't about punishing others. They're about honoring yourself. They're about declaring, I deserve honesty. I deserve clarity. I deserve relationships built on trust, not manipulation. Every time you enforce that truth, you grow stronger. The fourth step is perspective. Not everyone who lies to you deserves a seat in your life, and not everyone who questions you deserves an answer. Some people are meant to teach you lessons, not walk with you into the future. And that's okay. Growth isn't about holding on tighter. It's about learning when to let go. But the most important step of all, rebuilding trust in yourself. Because here's the hidden cost of dealing with liars. It's not just about the betrayal. It's about the way it makes you doubt your own judgment. It's about how it makes you second-guess your instincts, your memory, your truth. That's the wound liars leave behind. And if you don't heal it, you carry it into every new chapter of your life. So here's your reminder. You are not weak for being deceived. You are not foolish for believing in someone who turned out to be a liar. Your kindness, your hope, your willingness to trust those are not flaws. They are strengths. But like all strengths, they need wisdom to protect them. And wisdom is what you're building now. Every trap you learn to spot, every question you learn to dismantle, every boundary you learn to enforce, this is how you transform pain into power. This is how you grow. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't to become bitter. The goal isn't to live in paranoia. The goal is to become wise enough to spot deception without losing your ability to love, to trust, to connect. That balance, that strength, that clarity is where true growth begins. In the next part, we'll go even deeper. We'll talk about how to rebuild your confidence after dealing with liars, how to stop second-guessing yourself, how to rise from betrayal stronger than ever before. When you've been lied to, the hardest part isn't always the lie itself. It's the aftermath. It's the way you start second-guessing everything: your choices, your instincts, even your worth. You replay the conversations. You wonder how you missed the signs. You ask yourself questions like, how could I have been so blind? Or why didn't I listen to myself? But here's the truth you need to hold on to. Being deceived doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're naive. It means you're human. It means you were willing to give trust, to believe in someone, to see the good in them. And that's not a flaw, it's a strength. The mistake wasn't that you trusted. The mistake was that they broke that trust. And that mistake is theirs to carry, not yours. The key now is to rebuild what lies tried to steal from you. Your confidence. Because liars don't just attack truth, they attack trust. And when you stop trusting yourself, when you doubt your instincts, you give their deception power even after they're gone. So how do you rebuild? Step 1 is simple. Start listening to your inner voice again. That gut feeling you ignored before. Start honoring it. The quiet hesitation, the subtle tension, the sense that something isn't right. Pay attention to it. Write it down. Reflect on it. Because every time you honor your intuition, you strengthen it. Step 2. Reframe the experience. Instead of saying, I was fooled, start saying, I learned. Because you did. Every betrayal carries a lesson. Every lie teaches you something about patterns, about behavior, about human nature. And when you choose to see it as education instead of humiliation, you turn pain into wisdom. Step 3. Reclaim your voice. Liars thrive when they silence you, when they make you afraid to speak up, when they convince you that your feelings don't matter. Don't let that linger. Start small if you have to, but practice speaking your truth without apology. In conversations, in relationships, in daily choices, declare what you see, what you know, and what you feel. Every time you do, you rebuild the bridge between your heart and your confidence. Step 4. Surround yourself with truth tellers. Healing isn't just about removing liars. It's about adding people who live in honesty, people who don't minimize your feelings, people who don't twist your words, people who respect your boundaries. The more you experience relationships built on trust, the faster your faith in yourself will grow. And finally, step 5. Forgive yourself. This may be the hardest, but it's the most powerful. Stop punishing yourself for believing in the wrong person. Stop replaying the mistakes in your head. Forgive yourself for the moments you ignored your gut. Forgive yourself for the times you stayed too long. Because growth doesn't come from self-blame, it comes from self-compassion. Think about it this way. The same heart that was wounded is the same heart that will heal. The same instincts that you ignored are the ones that will guide you forward. The same trust that was broken is the trust you can rebuild stronger, wiser, unshakable. This is the transformation liars never expect. They think breaking your trust will break you. But when you choose growth, when you rise from betrayal, you prove them wrong. You show that their lies didn't weaken you, they sharpened you. They didn't silence you, they made your voice stronger. They didn't destroy you, they forged you into someone wiser, braver, and more powerful than before. And this is where the story turns. Because spotting lies isn't the end of the journey. It's just the beginning. The real victory is not just seeing through deception. It's becoming the kind of person who cannot be shaken by it. In the final part, we'll bring everything together. We'll talk about how to live with clarity, how to protect your peace, and how to turn every lesson of deception into fuel for your growth. You've now seen the truth. You've learned the 5 questions liars use to manipulate, distract, and control. You've uncovered how they twist your words, how they plant guilt, how they flip the script, and how they try to rewrite your reality. And you've learned how to protect yourself, how to rebuild your confidence, and how to rise stronger than before. But let's pause and ask, what is the real lesson here? Is it just about spotting liars? Is it just about catching deception before it's too late? No, it's bigger than that. The real lesson is about clarity. It's about trusting yourself again. It's about protecting your peace, your energy, and your future. Because at the end of the day, you cannot control who chooses to lie to you, but you can control whether you allow their lies to define you. Life will always have people who wear masks, people who smile while hiding secrets, people who ask questions not to understand, but to manipulate. That's the reality. But here's the good news. Once you've seen the pattern, you can't unsee it. Once you've learned the tactics, you're no longer an easy target. Once you've been through deception and chosen to grow from it, you become unshakable. And that's what this journey has been about. Not paranoia, not bitterness, but wisdom. The wisdom to see through deception. The wisdom to trust your instincts. The wisdom to protect yourself without closing your heart. Because the truth is, liars don't get the last word. You do. They don't decide your story. You do. Their lies may have shaken you, but your growth will outlast them. Their deception may have slowed you, but your clarity will push you forward. Their betrayal may have hurt you, but your healing will make you unstoppable. So from this moment forward, carry this with you. Your instincts are a gift. Your boundaries are power. Your truth is enough. You don't need to over-explain. You don't need to shrink. You don't need to apologize for protecting your peace. The next time someone tries to plant doubt, remember what you've learned. The next time someone minimizes your feelings, stand tall in your truth. The next time someone tries to twist reality, hold firm to what you know. Because you are not powerless. You are not naive. You are not broken. You are growing. You are stronger. You are wiser. And that's what this channel Fuel the Growth is here for. To remind you that every setback can become strength. Every betrayal can become wisdom. Every deception can become fuel for your growth. So go forward with clarity. Go forward with courage. And go forward knowing that no lie can ever stop the truth from rising within you. This is your time, your season, your growth. Protect it, live it, fuel it.